Corona. Alright. Hello and welcome back. So today I am talking about James Patterson's book, Suzanne's Diary for Nicholas. And when I was going through my old video and saying, so what I know is that it's a diary to Nicholas from Suzanne, I had to laugh at my own naivety. So what this book actually is, it is a bit of a diary between Suzanne and Nicholas, Nicholas being Suzanne's son, but it's more than that. So there are two kind of parallel lines going at the same time. One is that of Katie Wilkinson, who has just been broken up with mysteriously for literally no reason by this guy named Matt. And Matt is just wonderful and handsome and loving and caring, and then he's just like, nope, sorry, I'm out. And she's like, what? And you feel for her because you're like, damn, we all thought Matt was a good guy. We don't even know Matt yet, but we thought he was a good guy. And then he just went and did that. And then to make matters more complicated, Katie's pregnant. Well, Matt doesn't know this. And so she's just a hot mess because she's sad about Matt. She's hormonal because of her pregnancy. And she comes home one day to this package on her front step. And it's from Matt. And it just says that she should read it, but that it will probably be hard and like maybe it'll kind of explain some of why he ran. And it sort of does. So it turns out Matt, who was always afraid of his, well, not afraid of his past, but afraid about talking about his past, was married to this woman, Suzanne, who was this like big city surgeon doctor a few years back. And then she had a heart attack, moves to Martha's Vineyard, meets Matt, typical love story. They have a kid, Nicholas. They're super happy. But then something happened to Suzanne, and you're just like, oh my gosh, what? And Katie actually feels for Suzanne. She likes her. She wants to be jealous and like angry at her, but she's like, I can't. I really feel like I would be friends with this Suzanne person. Well, without trying to give too many spoilers away, Suzanne and Nicholas are out of the picture at this point. But Katie does understand why Matt is so emotionally unavailable, because he doesn't have those emotional tools to deal with his grief and his, well, grief. And he's like afraid of moving on and loving again because he just kind of has those like commitment abandonment issues. Anyway, so it all ends well because it is a romance, and Matt ends up being with Katie and they have their baby and whatever. So as for my thoughts about the book, I thought it was really interesting. It's a literal page turner in that it was really hard for me to put it down. I wanted to know what was happening next with Katie. I wanted to know what was happening next with Suzanne. I wanted to know who the hell Suzanne was, who this Nicholas was, because you never actually meet Nicholas since he's a baby. It's kind of like one of those things that those parents do where they make a Gmail account for their kid, and when they turn a certain age they give them the account information and they see all sorts of like letters and photos and videos and whatnot. Anyway, but like the end was just so abrupt. The end was she finds out what happened to Suzanne and Nick. She's like, oh my gosh, it all makes sense. I really miss Matt. And then she's working in her office because she's a book editor, and Matt, that's how they actually met, was Matt is a poet and Katie was helping him publish some works. Anyway, she hasn't seen him for weeks at this point, and she like looks out the window one day and she sees Matt like, I don't know, tying his shoe or something, runs out. She's like, Matt, I love you. And he's like, Katie, I love you too. And then they get married, and that's the end. And so the end, there was all this emotional work and build up, and then the end was just like, okay, and here you go, nice little bow. And that was it. So that was my one complaint with the book, because I felt like it did such a good job of like building that suspense, building that emotional connection with the characters, and then it was just over. Which kind of brings me to some of the like comments in the back where, and I've read this before, Leave It to Patterson to combine amor and mystery, a page-turning love story. It is, and then it just ends, and it leaves you kind of unfulfilled. And even though the Washington Post says that Patterson hit a home run, like, I don't know, maybe he got to third base? Like, it was really good. It was so close. And then it just ended. Now, I know I've kind of harped on the ending for a bit now, but don't get me wrong, I really did enjoy the book. I think if you like love stories, it's worth a read. I think if you like mystery, this isn't quite for you, but it's not for you either, because there is that mysterious element. I just think it's kind of one of those books that you read once and you're like, oh, that was nice, and then you're done. So, did enjoy it, do recommend it, but probably not one of those, like, favorite of all time type stories. That's all I have for Suzanne's Diary for Nicholas. Next week, I will be looking at The Mexican Tree Duck by James Crumley. This has been one of those books that have been in my closet for years, and I've just never gotten around to reading it, so I'm really curious to see what it's finally about. Thank you so much, and I will see y'all again later.